Dobrze. Cześć wszystkim. Ta prezentacja będzie po angielsku, dlatego że uczyłem się języka serbskiego tylko kilka dni, więc to jest za mało, żeby poprowadzić całą prezentację po serbsku. Tak? Rozumiecie? So if you understood that, that means that you just experienced this mutual intelligibility between Slavic languages phenomena. I spoke Polish. And by the way, how many people speak Polish here? Okay, there are some people here, nice. Nice to see you guys. Very good. So if you know any Slavic language, you probably heard about the phenomena that we can understand each other to some extent. It's not always possible to talk about anything, but if we need to, we can communicate. And actually, there are some common beliefs about mutual intelligibility. And usually, we tend to think that this is something that we would use in an emergency situation or as a last resort, because unfortunately, many people think that it's not possible to have a meaningful conversation speaking your native language to another Slavic person. And it probably comes from the fact that when we experience this phenomena, we are on holidays and we're trying to deal with everyday situations like in a store. A few days ago, before coming here, I was in Prague, and when I was at the till, I was trying to communicate with the cashier using a little bit of Czech and a little bit of Polish, but people usually are very impatient with this kind of communication. In the situations like that, when you have a time pressure, and it turns into a kind of a negative experience, and people switch to English just to get business done. So we could say that majority of people don't really think about engaging deliberately in this kind of communication, because we think about efficiency and we want to get things done. But if you're like a language geek, you think about this thing much in a different way, and you want to explore and look for that experience. We want to, especially people who are interested in languages, look out for content in other, like me, look out for content in other Slavic languages. I used to listen to songs in other Slavic languages, or I would look up news channels in other Slavic languages, even though I was not learning those languages at the time. It was just for the pure fun of it. And it was a very interesting experience to be able to understand some of the words, or just the sense of familiarity was very interesting to me. But I always wondered about how we can, how would that work in a situation when I have someone to respond to me and interact with someone when I speak Polish and the other person speaks other Slavic language. The situation changed when I went to the Polyglot conference in Greece in 2016, and I met a lot of language geeks there. And because every language geek wants to explore and wants to experiment with languages, I found a Slovak speaker, Ladan, who wanted to learn Polish, but he didn't have time to do it. And I was always interested in learning Slovak, but again, I don't really have any purpose for learning it. So we decided that if we can't really learn those languages at the time, we can at least do the experiment and see how much we can understand, and we can understand each other. We couldn't do it at the conference because it was too busy, but after a while we met, online, and we made a video together in which we would be testing this phenomena, mutual intelligibility phenomena between Polish and Slovak. And we didn't really have any structure to that conversation. The idea was just to meet and try to test the limits, how far we can go, me speaking Polish and Ladan speaking Slovak. And it turned out that something that was supposed to be just 15-minute conversation turned into an hour, and we could communicate for an hour talking about different things, traveling and sharing stories in our respective languages, which was a very interesting experience. Once I shared this video to my YouTube channel, it turned out that there is actually a lot of people who were interested in that topic and wanted to do this kind of experiments, but they never had a platform or way to find people to experience that. And even though I didn't expect a lot of views for that video, it was a very successful video on YouTube, and despite of the low audio quality and very bad video, people still really liked it. And not only Polish and Slovaks, I would expect Polish people and Slovak people to watch this kind of thing, but other Slavs also would watch it and started commenting, like Ukrainians, Russians, Serbians, and people from all over the world. Even English speakers as well were interested in that phenomena. And that made me realize that there is quite big community of people who are interested in this kind of content, and that led to creating the entire series of mutual intelligibility between Slavic languages. I started looking out for people from other Slavic countries that were willing to participate in the projects. I started with some friends that I had, and those videos were very entertaining. That's why I kept doing them. The format was very simple. We would just meet and try to test the limitations, like how far we can go speaking to one another in our native languages. And those videos were made just for the purpose of entertainment. I didn't realize that you could use it for learning, at least not at that point. But during those conversations, I've noticed that even though the words that someone was using were not similar to Polish words, I could figure them out from the context. And when the person used that word a few sentences later, I was able to understand it. So even the words that were not familiar to me started entering my passive vocabulary. Like, even though I was not trying to learn, it just was happening naturally through those micro interactions. And I started seeing a potential for using it as a learning tool. And at that time I was working on a Polish course for my students, and I've been doing a lot of research on comprehensible input. As Stephen Krashen proved in his research, comprehensible input is very important when learning a language, and that's actually how people learn languages, through understanding messages. And I realized that what we were doing through all this time was creating comprehensible input, making a comprehensible input for one another in our native languages. And it's this kind of bilingual conversation is a natural way of getting this comprehensible input. So I also got a lot of feedback from viewers under all those videos. People started telling that they actually started using it for learning. So I decided that I needed to look at all the videos that I made and look at them from the perspective of a learner. Like I wanted to see if there is any way to optimize the videos for learners who started using those videos not only as pure entertainment but also a resource for learning. And I found some limitations there in the format that we adapted, and I would like to show you an example of a clip from a Polish-Bulgarian conversation, just to demonstrate to you how confusing sometimes it could be. So let's try to play it now. Oh.
Jak się czujesz?
Какво чува?
Dobrze się czujesz?
Да, добре те чувам.
Tak?
Добре те чувам.
Dobrze się czujesz, tak? Jesteś zmęczona?
Не разбирам.
Czy jesteś zmęczona? Chcesz spać?
Не. Nie.
Rozumiesz?
Не разбирам.
So as you could see here, we thought that we understood each other, but actually we didn't, because I was asking my friend how was she feeling at that time, and she thought that I was asking her about how well can she hear me. So this confusion can be very misleading if you're trying to learn a language. You need to have some sort of way of making sure that you both understand what's happening. Another limitation of that format was that the conversation often was very random and unprepared, unstructured, so you could easily run out of topics, and the conversation could be a little bit forced. So that was one of the limitations, and since there was no subtitles, there was also no way of verifying if what you hear is actually what you think you hear. So that made me realize that I needed to work on a different format, and I created a new format for this kind of videos. I introduced subtitles in both languages and in English, just to make sure that everything is understandable for everybody, everybody who wants to use it as a learning resource. I also added, I also gamified the conversation. Like in this case, we were playing a guess a country game. So we decided that it's a better idea to focus on one particular topic, like countries, and by introducing a guessing game, we made it a little bit more entertaining and engaging, because I had to guess countries by the descriptions that my Bosnian friend was providing in Bosnian. So I think it was very engaging, at least on my side. I had to be more focused and trying to make out as many words as possible to kind of win the game. So that was one of the things that I added to the new format. And another format, I mean, so at that point I realized that it could be a great resource for learning, and I wanted to use what I discovered to create a resource for learning Polish and Czech. So I wanted to try to use all these techniques with one pair of languages to create a series and see how far we can go with that. The series of Polish and Czech conversations helped me develop some more tricks and some solutions to make conversations more interesting and making it a more appealing language learning resource. And those techniques that we've developed, I would like to share with you now, so you can use them in your language learning. Huh? Yeah, so all those techniques that we've developed, you can now use in your language learning if you are interested in doing the same thing. So first of all, I believe that this way of learning works best in the context of online language exchange. And it's important why I think online is better than in person. You can still adapt this methodology to your language exchanges in person, but it's not a regular language exchange. It's creating your own language learning resource. So it's not just about speaking practice, it's about creating a source for comprehensible input that you can use later after language exchange. And to do that, you would like to use a computer or something that will make it possible to record the experience, and this way you can create a resource that you can use later. And nowadays it's much easier to record things on the computer. You can just download a free video chat app that often they have a recording option included, so anyone can use it now. And as I said, it's not about speaking practice, it's about creating comprehensible input for later. So video and audio is one way of recording it, and the other way is taking notes. And again, this is a situation when you don't know your target language yet, so you want to, you can't really take your own notes. The best way here would be to take notes for your language partner, because you know the script of your language, so you can help each other in that way, that you just create notes on the go, whatever your language partner requires. You could do the transcription of the entire conversation, but I don't think it's necessary if you're using it just for your own benefit. I do transcriptions because I post videos online for other people to watch, but if you want to use this method for yourself, I think just taking notes is enough. You don't really have to transcribe everything. And so that's important here, taking notes. And you want to prepare for the conversation, so you don't want it to be too random or undefined, unstructured. And I can give you some ideas how you can prepare for this kind of language exchange. And you could utilize guessing games. So you could prepare descriptions of an object or of a person in your native languages and make the other person guess who you are talking about or what you are describing in your language. This way, it makes the conversation a little bit more engaging. Another thing I could recommend is narrow topics. You want to, if you don't want to play the guessing game, you want to possibly talk about something very defined, like the whole conversation should be just about coffee, so you don't get too confused. You just try to gather as much vocabulary as possible regarding one specific topic. You just try to ask as many questions as possible regarding that particular topic. And like here you could see we talked about coffee with my friend from Czech Republic, and we also talked about pets. So whatever is relevant to you, you could narrow it down to a single topic and use it in your language exchange. And another useful technique would be to use images and try to describe images. Images will help make the content more comprehensible for you, and you can compare vocabulary related to whatever is on the picture. As you can see here, I was talking to my Macedonian friend, and the goal of the conversation was to find as many similar words in Macedonian and Polish as possible. And I would speak only Polish, he would speak only in Macedonian, and learning happens kind of naturally there. We think we are focusing on finding the similar words, but there is so much more happening there that we are not aware of when we're trying to communicate. So here we've got jezioro jest zamarznięte in Polish, or in Macedonian it would be da jezoroto e zamarznato. And in Serbian, how would that be in Serbian? Jezioro jest zamarznato. You see, this is, it seems like it's a very difficult thing to say, but it's not really. For other Slavs, it's much more understandable. And one of the advantages of this way of learning is that sometimes you don't even realize what you can discover. And the word zamarznięte seems like a very difficult word, but then you see that it's many Slavic languages use the same or very similar word to describe that. And actually, this format I would like to use to demonstrate mutual intelligibility phenomena now. That's why I prepared a couple of images here. And I would like some volunteers to help me demonstrate the mutual intelligibility here. So there are some people speaking Polish here, but there are still some people who don't. So maybe we could start with Polish. I'll just demonstrate to you how I want it to look like, and then we can have a person who speaks Russian and Serbian to see. To do what I'm going to do now. So I want you to focus and listen to me describing a picture, and I'm going to describe it in Polish, and I want you to guess which picture I'm talking about, okay? So na tym zdjęciu jest miejsce, gdzie ludzie czekają na pociąg. Ludzie czekają na pociąg, bo muszą gdzieś jechać. Tak? Czy macie jakieś pytania do tego? Na przykład nie jesteście pewni, czy już wiecie, które to jest zdjęcie? Tak? Czy potrzebujecie więcej informacji? Nie? Nie? Dobra, to kto myśli, że to jest zdjęcie numer 2? Who thinks that it's the picture number 2? Okay. So the other people didn't understand anything from what I said, or no. Weren't sure. Dobra. Spróbujemy jeszcze raz, tak? So I will be speaking to you in Polish, and about one of those pictures here, and you can ask me anything in your native language. In Serbian. You can ask me, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can ask me.
So I could ask you whether you're talking about some picture.
Yeah, so I'll start, and then you can just verify or confirm with me if, is this thing? Okay, good. Dobrze. Więc na tym zdjęciu jest osoba, która leży w łóżku, jest chora.
Dalej pričaš o slici broj 4?
Tak, yes.
I don't know. Ne znam.
Aha, na tym zdjęciu jest osoba, która leży w łóżku i jest chora. Osoba.
Intenzywna koza intenzywno nego. Ja.
Aha.
I think I heard words like room and laying down or something like this.
Laying down, tak. Leży.
Yeah.
Osoba to inaczej.
Room or person, I couldn't yeah.
Tak, tak. Aha. Osoba to człowiek, tak? Inaczej. Jest. Aha, rozumiem, jest inny akcent. Tak, to może teraz spróbujemy z innym językiem. Let's try with another language. Maybe you could describe it in Serbian. Opisz i whoever doesn't speak Serbian can try to guess what picture you're talking about. Maybe you can come here and we can one of these pictures in Serbian. And who doesn't speak Serbian here? Oh, okay. But you speak some Slavic languages. You speak Polish, right? Yeah. So people who are not who don't speak Serbian can try to guess it.
Окей. Може? На овoj slici nalazi se priroda. Razumeš?
Przyroda, po polsku przyroda.
Przyroda, okej. Ima dosta zelenila.
Ma dość dużo zieleni.
Da. I jedna životinja stoji na grani.
I jedno zwierzę stoi na gałęzi. Na gałęzi.
Ta životinja je sova.
To zwierzę to sowa.
A zwierzę na srpskom je zver.
Zwer.
Zver.
Zwer.
I to je divlja životinja.
Aha, po polsku zwierz albo zwierzę może być.
Koja slika je u pitanju?
Zdjęcie, tak, które zdjęcie, kto? Which picture is it? Maybe. Wiesz, które to jest zdjęcie?
Quale fotografia è in questione?
Tak, dobrze. Dobrze. Pierwsze zdjęcie. Pierwsze zdjęcie. Kto powiedział czwarte? Aha, to nie. To nie czwarte. A what languages do you speak?
Non parlo serbo.
Aha, okay. So it works best if you speak at least one Slavic language. But thank you for trying. Thank you for trying. Yeah.
Još jedno.
Good. To jeszcze jedną. Aha.
Hoće neko drugi da mu objasni?
O, po rosyjsku. Tak, prosimy.
Izvoli.
Здравствуйте всем. На этом изображении вы можете наблюдать пожилую женщину, которая, судя по всему, кормит голубей. На этой картинке вы видите кирпичную стену, а на первом плане сидит женщина, которая кормит голубей.
Rozumiecie? Rozumiecie, tak? Tak. 5. Zdjęcie numer 5. Tak, czyli jest kobieta, która karmi gołębie. Karmi gołębie.
А по-сербски есть, по-сербски как это объяснить? Жена.
Hrani golubove.
Aha, tak, bardzo podobnie. Very similar. Yes, so do you have any questions now?
Ale, na primjer, žena koja hrani golubove, ali kobieta.
Yeah, tak.
Dlatego, że po polsku żona
Żona.
to jest już w małżeństwie.
Więc żona in Polish is a married woman. But we still could figure it out because of the context. We know that you're talking about a woman.
To żena w
Ta-
ogóle kobieta.
Yeah.
Ale myślę, że człowiek w Serbii nie rozumie, co znaczy kobieta.
Tak, to może być problem. Aha,
Nic nie rozumie.
to może być problem. Kobieta, czy kobieta coś znaczy? Znaczy? Kobieta? Nie? Aha. Good. So, do you have any questions about how you can use this in your language learning, or any questions in any language you can ask now? Tak, proszę. Stefano.
Twoja prezentacja była bardzo ciekawa.
Dziękuję.
Ale nie pomyślałeś wyłożyć tę prezentację tylko po polsku z pomocą na przykład obrazów, zdjęć?
Aha, no to by był dobry pomysł, tak. Ale nie wiedziałem, ile osób tutaj będzie w stanie zrozumieć, także wolałem przedstawić to po angielsku. Mhm.
Ale gdybyś powiedział jutro o godzinie 10, że zaczyna znowu lekcja, a to tutaj w Serbii, to wiesz, nie, godzina i godzina,
Tak, aha.
to znaczy coś innego.
Mhm. Tak, na przykład godzina po serbsku to jest po polsku rok.
Ale
Tak.
rok po serbsku to termin.
Termin.
Ispitni
O,
rok.
tak, a po polsku godzina to znaczy godzina
Godzina sat.
sat. Aha, tak, więc są tutaj nieporozumienia. Tak, Arciem?
If, for example, you're an English native speaker or like a Polish native speaker, and your goal is to learn all of these languages, in what order you would recommend to learn them as fast as
If you are a Polish speaker and you want to learn all Slavic languages,
Yeah, at least if you speak Polish. Yeah, because you're Polish, probably you know better.
yeah, so actually I looked at the data about mutual intelligibility and which languages are closest to Polish, and it would be Slovak and then Czech, and then it goes to, I think, Belarusian, Ukrainian, and there is a scientific research showing which languages are similar, and the least similar is Bulgarian. So I think I would learn Bulgarian last and just try to learn the ones that are closest to me first. I think that would be the most reasonable, but it's very important to learn languages that you are interested in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Are there any dictionaries, for example, which list every dictionary has the same word in each Slavic language? Does such a thing exist?
There are some articles on the internet or in Wikipedia where you can find.
No hardback dictionary.
No, I haven't seen any of those, but there is this project called the Inter-Slavic language, and they collected data about these things, because the idea about Inter-Slavic is that they constructed a language that is understandable to all Slavs. So they already done extensive research on the similarities between languages, and I think if you wanted to, you could use their resources to see how they figured it out, because the work has been done already. So I think you could use that. Tak?
Taka sytuacja, ty jesteś Polakiem, jesteś tutaj na rynku w Nowym Sadzie i pytasz,
Aha.
no dzień dobry, gdzie jest Futoszka Piazza? Futoszka Piazza. A człowiek wtedy, Futoszka Piazza, 500 metrów samo prawo.
Cały czas prosto, cały czas w prawo, ale już teraz wiem, że to jest
Wiem,
prosto.
ale gdybyś nie wiedział?
No. Gdybym nie wiedział, to poszedłbym w prawo.
Prawo.
W prawo.
Prawo i teraz
A levo?
lewo, lewo.
A pravo?
A prawo prosto.
Prosto. Prosto, w prawo.
A prosto?
Prosto, easy.
Simple też, to też. Prosta sprawa.
How did you get interested in using the phenomenon as
how did you discover?
Yeah, so I discovered when I went to the Polyglot conference and we started talking about this phenomenon, but we never had a chance to test it in an environment when you're not under stress of, getting the business done. You just want to see how far you can go. So you need to create like an artificial environment for that. You have to sit down, and this is what we are doing. We're focusing on testing this phenomenon, how far we can go. And it was just very entertaining. And after a while, it turned into a learning resource.
Could you speak some inter-Slavic to everyone here?
I don't speak inter-Slavic. No, I was just trying to understand it. Yeah.
You need to show a video in inter-Slavic to demonstrate just how much you can tweak everything.
Uh-huh.
To bridge these gaps.
Okay, so we can actually...
But only if everyone wants to.
we can,
Jeżeli jest na YouTube.
jest na YouTubie. Jest na YouTubie. So... Aha. So, reklama. So now we are going to demonstrate a little bit of this inter-Slavic language that I mentioned. It's a constructed language based on all Slavic languages. And we were just testing how well we can understand it. Okay?
There's no sound on YouTube.
No sound.
Cześć. Tak, lubi język. Tak, Norbert uczy polskiego, on jest uczyciel polskiego. Paweł jest youtuber i jest w Instagramie, a ja jestem z Polski i ja говорю međuslovenskim językiem. Tak, najpierw ako nešto ne razumijete, da. Nešto jest niejasno. Govorite mi, ja тогда budem próbowati govoriti inače, da? Особливо в Болгарії, тому що zato, що я jeszcze nigdy не говорив з Болгарами і так не знам, разбираш, не разбираш. Всичко разбирам сега. Так, първо są Три конкуренцje. Mamy три конкуренцje. Tak, pierwsza konkurencja to jest делаем приказ. Да? Я говорю приказ. Потом на 1, 2, 3 вы делаете приказ. Да? Делаете приказ. Dobra. Tak. Prikazy są trzy prikazy. Da? Trzy. Da. Pierwszy делаете pierwszy prikaz, potem после того я говорю второй приказ, вы делаете второй приказ, да? А потом есть третий приказ, и вы делаете третий приказ. Да? Так, хорошо. Ясно? Ясно? Ясно. Так. Делаем второй приказ. Спасибо за внимание. Станите на ноги, на ваши ноги и выстрелите ваши руки. Так. 3,
Czekaj. Moment.
Wy stanite na nogi, na wasze nogi i zdwignite wasze rąki w górę. Tak?
Dobra. Ale to jest.
No. Wszystko do zrozumienia.
Ale dlaczego nie
To jest, on jest z Bułgarii. Po bułgarsku też to jest?
Dźwigasz w górę. Tak.
A, na dwie strony.
Tak,
Ale uwaga, tego nie będzie widać w kamerze, jak wstaniemy.
Nie widzisz jeszcze drugą stanie.
To nie mój problem. Budемо oddzielać cenzurę.
Dobra. Potem zakratkuję to.
Tak. 3, 2, 1.
Nie pokazałem moich piżam.
Aha, dobra. To jest dosyć długie, to nie wiem, to chcecie oglądać. Ale tak działa język międzysłowiański. To jest język skonstruowany przez lingwistów. Także... Jak to dla was brzmi? Rozumiecie ten język międzysłowiański? Aha, tak? Bo wszyscy Słowianie powinni być w stanie go zrozumieć. Tak ten język jest konstruowany.
Ja wszystko rozumiem.
Wszystko rozumiesz, tak. Aha. Michael, did you understand? You could put English subtitles, yeah, too, but... Okay. Good, so I think that's all about my presentation. If you have any more questions, you can ask me anytime. Yep. Thank you very much.